Hello, my name's Sammy, aka Forcing Boy, and this is Fingerstyle Thursday, where every single Thursday I give you a new original fingerstyle piece and we break down the theory, the composition, and the technicalities. Now, if you'd like to have a look at the tab and the sheet music for today's piece, it's always available in my Instagram stories at Forcing Boy for free on the actual Thursday. So if you are here on the day, go over to my Instagram and screenshot that. You can take that for free. If not, head over to Patreon for the £3 a month tier. You can grab today's sheet and every other sheet previous and for the rest of the month. Good shit. So today's piece is in the key of D minor, which is also the same as F major. So basically we have a D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, and D, and those are all of our available notes in the scale. So if we talked about the chords available, harmonized from that, we have a D minor, we have an E minor, an E diminished, we have an F major, we have a G minor, we have an A minor, a B flat major, and a C. And those would be all of our harmonized major scale chords. We can use all of those chords within the key, put them all together, and they'll sound beautiful. So for most of the piece, I'm actually playing a D minor scale up the C string. So let's talk about that first. So if I play the second fret on my third string, that would be a D. So then if I got 2 frets, that would take me to an E, up a fret, to an F, up 2 frets, to a G, up 2 frets, to an A, up 1 fret, to a B flat, up 2 frets, to a C, or you could play the open, and then we've either got the 14th fret, or you could go with the 2nd fret again. And there we have a D minor scale, all on 1 string. So pretty much for the piece, I'm relying on this scale and going around, and that's where I'm basing my chords from. But I also have a continuous, pretty continuous, A note going on. Now, when we have a continuous note like this in the piece, where it just doesn't shut up and it keeps repeating like this, we tend to call them a drone note. And that is just a note that continually stays the same note and it ends up through the piece. Now, you might think, well, hang on, Sammy, that sounds a bit like tremolo. And it is the same idea, it's just usually tremolo is a lot faster. You can hear that, whereas a drone note tends to be a little slower, either continuous or just repeating. So I'm using an A note just because basically it's in the chord of D minor, so it sits there, so almost our home chord would be a D minor. So that A feels absolutely lovely to constantly use it through all of our chords and is in most of our chords as well. Now, the way that basically we're going to play this constantly repeating note, if we have a look, if we go to our A note on the C string, and that's the 9th fret on your C string. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to play an alternating pattern between our thumb on the 3rd string, and then we're going to use these 2 fingers for alternating the A string. So pattern, if you try it please, pluck the 3rd string with your thumb, and then pluck the open A string with your index finger, and then with your middle finger. So you get a pattern of basically 1, 2, 3. So first of all, let's just try that twice in a row. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Cool? Feels okay? So try it again. The aim is to basically get it nicely spaced out, and everything has to be nice and even. So again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, for this pattern, I'm actually going to play it 4 times in a row, okay? So what I'd like us to do is go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's if you weren't sure what 4 times means. Okay, so if we try that a little bit faster, we end up going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, to finish off this little pattern, I'm going to add a 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end. So we end up going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 1, 2, 3, 4 at the end, we're going to pluck our third string, and then we're going to play index, middle, index on the A string. So you get 3 notes on the A string instead. So if we put that together, we have 4 patterns of 3 and then 1 pattern of 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might be thinking, Sammy, where the hell, why are you talking in threes? What's going on? Where have you got this pattern from? And it's maths, I'm afraid. I've tricked you, okay? We are here in a maths lesson. Now, I always say that music is basically loud maths. It's just maths much louder. And so, if I look at a bar counting in 8 notes, I can get 8 notes in that bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So sometimes I'll look at my bar and I'll put a pattern in that. But sometimes, actually, I want a larger pattern. So I'm going to have a 2-bar pattern. So that means I can get 2 bars of 8 notes, which is 16 notes, maths. And again, I could see that as evenly 8 and 8, or I could divide them up into smaller, weirder divisions, such as 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. Which, again, if we think about it, 3, 6, 9, 12, 16. So all I'm doing is basically taking this 2-bar pattern, but dividing it in a way that feels more exciting for us. So every time we're going to play basically our pattern, it will always be around this count. This 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you can count it, obviously, as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but hopefully that gave you a little bit of a migraine and you're like, no, that's much harder. So I think it's actually easier in this example to count it as the little blocks that they are. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, there are 3 different variations of this pattern within the piece, and I've sort of made them a little bit more complex as they go along. We always follow this pattern of 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, but just what our thumb is doing gets a little bit more work each time. So for example, our first pattern, if we just place our index finger on the 2nd fret on the C string, which is a D there. So I'm keeping everybody else open. I've just got that D on the 2nd string, 3rd string. So our first pattern was this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So first of all, what I recommend is just getting used to playing that at least twice in a row. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you feel comfortable with 2, try building that up to 4. When you're comfortable with 4, try building that up to 8. Now, the next variation of the pattern, at the moment, our thumb has only been plucking the 3rd string. So actually, we're going to introduce a 2nd note pluck on the 3rd group of 3. So that means, if I just talk about my thumb here, I'm going 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. So on that 3rd group of 3, I plucked the 2nd string instead of the 3rd string. And again, just talking about the strings, 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. So it's still the same pattern, but we're just hitting the 2nd string on the 3rd block of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our next pattern. Okay, so again, do exactly the same thing with this. Play it for a bar, happy, cool. Play it for 2 bars, cool, happy. Play it for 4 bars. But again, always just take this nice and slow. So our final variation of the pattern that happens is our thumb goes absolutely mental, and we end up with, again, just saying the string numbers first of all. We go 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. And again, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. Now, the reason I've incorporated this one in is because this is a fantastic one for training basically your hand for tremolo style playing. Because whenever we play tremolo, you have that constant note on the A string, but your thumb has to put in basically all the rest of the bass notes. Now, we only have 3 strings remaining, but your thumb still has to be very confident about striking those strings in different orders and moving around. So this is you can almost take it as a little bit of tremolo training for your thumb, a little bit. So again, let's try that final pattern. So, talking about the strings again, we go 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. And again, you can hear the count is exactly the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we have it. Those are the 3 main patterns in this piece. Have a practice of those on any part of the scale. That'd be a really good exercise. Okay, so I'll split today's piece in 3 different sections, an A section, a B section, and a C section, and each one basically represents the 3 patterns that we just talked about. So in the A section, we need our first pattern, which basically means the thumb is only on the 3rd string. So we're going to start off on the 9th fret. If we're going up and down the scale, it doesn't actually matter which finger you use on your left hand, but just have a play with either one. It might be comfortable. You might be comfortable starting off with your ring finger and then moving down, or you might want to use a single middle finger and use down, or you might need to use a single index finger and move down. It doesn't really make a great amount of difference, but please always play around with your options because it's good to see what you enjoy as a player. So we're going to start on that 9th fret and we're going to play this 2-bar pattern, which again is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're then going to move down 2 frets here, which is a G, and we're going to play the same 2-bar pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to move down a further 2 frets, and that brings us to an F. And then we're going to move down 1 fret to the 4th fret. That brings us to an E. And again, remember, these are all notes that I've just taken from my D minor scale, and that's why they all sound beautiful and delicious put together. So one more time. That was the 9th fret, then 7, then 5, and then 4. We're then going to go back to 9 and 7 and that finishes our A section. Now for our B section, this is where we come into basically striking one more string with our thumb. So we start off here on a nice D note, and again you can use whatever finger you like. Now the pattern, if you remember, was 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. And still that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is our 2-bar pattern. So once we played it on the D, we're going to move up to the 5th fret on the C string, which is an F. Now, for this one, rather than striking the 2nd string, for that E there, we're going to strike a high G 4th string instead. So we end up going 3, 3, 4, 3, 3. And again, that's a 2-bar pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll then move down 1 fret to the E, 4th fret C string, and play that same pattern that we just played on the F. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And strings 3, 3, 4, 3, 3. We then move back down to our D. Now, there's a little tiny thing here going on. So the first time around that we play this, we'll play our 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to actually strum instead, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm just giving it a nice strum with my thumb. However you strum, it's no problem. So that strum will last the duration still of that 1, 2, 3, 4 count. So that means we'll go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that whole thing repeats itself. Now on the repeat, it's still the same. We play the D, you go up to the F, down to the E. Now when we come to the D, we're not going to strum this time, we're just going to play our normal pattern, which is the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that ends our B section. Now for the C section, I'm going to talk you through this first of all, okay? I talked about the chords that we could use at the start. So all the chords within the key of D minor is a D minor, an E diminished, an F, a G minor, an A minor, a B flat, and a C. Those are all of the chords that we can use basically within the key of D minor, and they all sound beautiful together. So all I'm doing is I've picked 3 of those chords. So I'm playing an F. I am playing the diminished, but because basically, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, because I have to keep that A string open there, that was what gave the chord its diminished quality. I want to constantly keep that A string open there. So without that, it's not really a diminished, it ends up as more of a E minor kind of. And then the last chord I'm playing is my favorite version of a D minor, which is basically a lazy D minor. So play a D minor, but if you remove your middle finger, so you have an open G string, there's a D minor add 11, but I generally play that with my middle finger instead rather than my ring finger. So 0, 2, 1, 0. Now, for our F chord, I'm not playing this version of my F chord. I'm instead playing an E shape F chord, which looks like this. So if we look at this chord, this actually goes 0, 5, 5, 3. And that is an F chord, but because of the high G, it's technically an F add 9, but really it's an F major chord. You can use this chord instead of your normal F chord and it will sound delicious. Now, we're playing that with our middle finger on the 3rd string, our ring finger on the 2nd string, and then our index finger on the 1st string, F. Now, because of that drone note though, I can't have anything blocking that A string, so I'm going to remove my index finger and I get that chord instead. So like I said, it came originally from an F chord, but because I have to keep that A string open because of the drone note, I end up with this little shape instead. And that's where the theory comes on the E diminished, because that really, if I remove that, becomes an E minor. So, and again, that high A I need to keep open. And if we look at the D minor add 11, the A is already open, so I don't have to do any modification for that. Win. Now, this is the C section, so basically this is where we get our final pattern, the one that we talked about. So we come to our F chord, our modified F add 9 chord, so that's 0, 5, 5, 0 at the moment. And string-wise, we're going 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. And that's our 2-bar pattern. 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. We can then move to our, what is now an E minor, but rather than thinking of it as an E minor chord like that, because we don't need the A string, fingers-wise we can play it with our middle finger and our index. So I'm actually playing 0, 4, 3, 0, and using the middle finger for the C string, and then using my index finger for the E string. So we play the same pattern on this chord, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. And because I've used that shape, I can actually just move that down 2 frets and I get to my D minor without having to mess around, which is perfect. Now we're actually going to play 4 bars of D minor. So that means it's the pattern twice in a row. So that means we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We then return to our F add 9. So again, that's 0, 5, 5, 0. Play that for the 2-bar pattern. Play the E minor. And then rather than come back down to the D minor, what we're going to do instead is we're going to come to our B section again, straight away, which is 3, 3, 2, 3, 3. We then move to our F note, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3. go down to the E, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, and then we're just going to strum that D minor add 11 to finish us off there. And there we have it. Fingerstyle Thursday number 62 is done. Like I said, if you want to grab the sheets on Patreon, £3 a month. I also teach a theory workshop over there every single month as well. So, mate, you might as well. What is there to lose? Now, next week, I will actually be on a small UK tour, but I will schedule this video so it will still come out on Thursday uninterrupted. So there'll still be Fingerstyle Thursday next week, but I will be in merry old England instead for a little while. Then I'm going over to Wales, and then more England, and then Scotland. If you want any details about that, I'll put basically a link in the comments. Cool. As ever, please take it nice and slow. You'll smash it. Have a great week.